Cruise employees signed contracts that forbid them from telling passengers what really happens behind those crew-only doors. And last year alone, guests overpaid an estimated $1.3 billion because they never learned these 21 secrets. You think you know how a cruise ship works? You are wrong. After speaking with former bartenders, cabin stewards, and one retired cruise director who worked 12 years at sea, I put together the exact list of things staff are trained never to say out loud. Number 21 explains why your minibar can charge you for a drink you never touched. Number 1 is the trick veteran cruisers use to get treated like royalty from the very first hour. Stick around, because once you hear number 8, you will never look at the buffet the same way again. And if you want more insider breakdowns like this one, hit subscribe on Senior Cruise Secrets so you never board unprepared again. Secret number 21, the minibar sensor trap. Crew members admit that in many cabins, the minibar shelf has a hidden weight sensor, and the moment you lift a bottle to look at the price, the system logs it as consumed, even if you set it right back down within seconds. A woman from Ohio picked up a can of soda, decided against it, and still found an $8 charge on her final bill. The reason this exists is simple. The technology is built to catch theft, but it cannot tell the difference between a curious guest and someone actually drinking the item, and the cruise line has no incentive to fix a system that quietly adds charges. Here is what you do. Never lift anything from that shelf unless you plan to buy it. And if a charge appears that should not be there, go to guest services within the first day and ask them to review the sensor log. Most lines will reverse it without an argument when you catch it early. Secret number 20, the truth about crew-only elevators and corridors. Staff move through a separate network of narrow hallways and service elevators that most passengers never even notice exist, and this is how a waiter can seem to appear in 3 different restaurants in the same 10 minutes. These corridors run behind the walls you walk past every day, connecting the kitchen, the laundry, and the crew cabins in a maze most guests will never see. The reason it stays hidden is safety and efficiency. Mixing thousands of service carts with vacationing families would slow the entire ship down, so the crew world and the guest world are built to never visibly collide. Here is what you do. If you ever feel lost on a massive ship, ask a crew member near a service door for the fastest route. They usually know a shortcut through public space that saves you real time before dinner reservations or shore excursions, and this small habit alone can shave 10 minutes off a busy sea day when every deck feels crowded at once. Before we go further, if you have ever been surprised by a charge you did not expect on a cruise, drop the amount in the comments, because secret number 9 on this list is going to explain exactly why that happened to you. Secret number 19, shore excursions can cost triple what they are worth. Many of the excursions sold through the cruise line are run by the very same local tour companies that offer the identical boat trip or bus tour at the dock for a fraction of the price. A couple in their 60s paid $120 per person through the ship for a snorkeling trip, then watched other tourists board the same boat after paying $40 directly at the pier. The markup exists because the cruise line takes a large commission for the referral, and most passengers never think to compare prices once they are already on board. Here is what you do. Search the port name along with the words private tour before your cruise even departs. Book directly with a locally reviewed operator, and you will often get a smaller group and a lower price for the same experience. Secret number 18, why crew secretly avoid the passenger buffet. Employees who eat in the crew mess know exactly which buffet stations sit under heat lamps the longest and which trays get refilled from the same batch for hours at a time. A steward admitted that seafood and mayonnaise-based salads are the 2 items staff never touch after the late morning rush. The reason is not that the food is unsafe by law, it simply sits longer than freshly prepared items, and heat lamps slow bacterial growth rather than stopping it completely. Here is what you do. Time your buffet visits right when a new tray comes out, watch for staff actively refilling a station, and lean toward items that are cooked to order rather than sitting in a warming tray for an unknown number of hours. Secret number 17, the final night bill trap. Once the onboard billing system locks for the evening on your last night, disputing a questionable charge becomes far harder because the same staff who could easily fix it in person are now swamped preparing for hundreds of departing guests at once. A retired teacher noticed a duplicate charge on her account the morning she disembarked and spent 3 months on the phone trying to get a refund that would have taken 5 minutes at the guest services desk 2 days earlier. The reason this trap exists is timing. Cruise lines know most guests do not check their folio until the very end, by which point the crew who can approve refunds have already moved on to the next voyage. Here is what you do. Check your onboard account balance every single day through the ship app and flag anything unusual immediately instead of waiting until checkout morning. Secret number 16. Cabins that crew know you should never book. Veteran stewards can tell you within seconds which cabins near the engine room hum through the night, which ones sit directly under the pool deck chair dragging at dawn, and which connecting rooms let every conversation bleed through the shared wall. A man from Georgia booked what looked like a great deal near the elevator bank, only to realize every late-night hallway conversation carried straight through his door. The reason these cabins get sold at full price anyway is that deck plans only show layout, never noise exposure, and the cruise line has no reason to warn you away from inventory it needs to fill. Here is what you do before booking. Search the ship name along with the words cabin to avoid. Cruisers post detailed noise complaints for almost every ship afloat. Secret number 15. Specialty restaurant prices quietly drop mid-cruise. Staff at the reservation desk know that once a specialty restaurant is not fully booked by the third night, prices often drop, and sometimes staff will offer a 2-for-1 deal just to fill empty tables, but they rarely announce it over the intercom. A couple paid full price on day 1 for the steakhouse, then found out their table mates paid half as much for the identical meal 2 nights later. The reason for the quiet discount is that an empty seat earns the ship nothing, so filling it at a lower price still beats an empty chair. Here is what you do. Wait until day 3 or 4 to book a specialty dinner if your schedule allows it, and simply ask the host directly if any promotions are running that week. Secret number 14, the hidden crew code used to identify difficult passengers. Staff have quiet phrases and subtle markers, sometimes noted discreetly in a service tablet, that flag a guest as demanding before a new crew member ever meets them, which can quietly shape how quickly requests get handled. A bartender confirmed that certain code words whispered between coworkers mean approach with extra patience, or double-check every order for this table. The reason this system exists is practical. A 12-hour shift becomes far harder when staff cannot prepare for a guest who complains about everything, so a heads-up protects both the crew and the guest experience. Here is what you do. Treat every crew member with the same warmth from your very first interaction. Guests who are remembered kindly tend to receive small, unadvertised extras throughout the week. If you are finding these secrets useful, this is exactly the kind of insider information we cover every week here on Senior Cruise Secrets. So take a second to subscribe before we continue with number 13. Secret number 13. Drink packages are designed so most guests lose money. Bar staff have watched thousands of passengers buy an unlimited drink package expecting to break even when the math almost never works in the guest favor unless someone is drinking 8 or more beverages every single day. A man from Texas calculated afterward that he would have saved over $200 simply paying per drink for his actual vacation pace. The reason the package exists is not guest convenience. It is guaranteed upfront revenue for the cruise line, regardless of how much you actually consume. Here is what you do. Track your first 2 days of drinking without the package, then do the math honestly before committing. Most casual drinkers save more paying as they go. Secret number 12. Why crew always tell you to wash your hands but never explain the real reason. The hand sanitizer stations at every entrance are not a courtesy. They exist because a single norovirus case can spread through an entire ship within 72 hours in the tight quarters of a cruise vessel. A crew member described watching an entire deck get quarantined after one family skipped hand washing during a buffet outbreak. The reason staff never say the word outbreak out loud is that the phrase alone can trigger panic and cancellations, so gentle reminders replace direct warnings. Here is what you do. Use the sanitizer stations every time you see one, and consider carrying your own wipes for tables, railings, and elevator buttons The small habit prevents the vacation-ending illness nobody wants to discuss. Secret number 11. Onboard credit expiring is no accident. Unused onboard credit disappears completely once your cruise ends, and cruise lines generate millions of dollars every year simply because passengers forget to spend what they were given before disembarkation. A retired nurse realized on the final morning she still had $90 in credit with nowhere left to spend it since the shops had already closed for departure. The reason there is no reminder system is straightforward. Unspent credit is pure profit for the company, so there is little incentive to nag you about using it. Here is what you do. Check your remaining credit on the second to last day and spend any leftover balance in the spa, the photo shop, or the gift store before the final night arrives. Secret number 10. The secret cruise store where employees buy luxury items cheap. Many ships operate a crew-only shop stocked with discounted electronics, cosmetics, and duty-free goods that passengers are never permitted to enter since it exists purely to keep staff morale up during long contracts at sea. A steward described buying designer sunglasses there for a quarter of the price charged in the passenger boutique just 2 decks above. The reason passengers stay banned is contractual. The cruise store operates under different tax and licensing rules than the guest-facing shops, so mixing the two would create a legal headache for the company. Here is what you do. You cannot access the cruise store, but you can ask your steward when passenger boutiques run their own clearance sales, which usually happen quietly in the final 2 days of a cruise, and a friendly steward will often tell you the exact day if you simply ask. Secret number 9. Mocktails have some of the biggest markups on the entire ship. Non-alcoholic drinks often carry a higher profit margin than actual cocktails, because the ingredients cost the ship almost nothing while the price stays nearly identical to a real drink. A grandmother traveling with her grandchildren was stunned to learn her $12 virgin cocktail cost the bar less than $2 to make. The reason bars push mocktails just as hard as alcohol is pure math. A full glass looks and feels like an indulgence, so guests rarely question the price the way they would question a soda refill. Here is what you do. Ask your bartender directly what a mocktail actually contains. Many are simple juice combinations you can recreate for free at the beverage station upstairs. Secret number 8. What happens when a passenger dies during the cruise? Crew are trained through detailed protocols to handle an onboard death with complete discretion, moving the body through those same hidden crew corridors so that other guests never notice anything unusual occurred. A longtime cruise director explained that ships even carry a small onboard morgue for exactly this situation, since medical emergencies are statistically inevitable given how many older travelers sail every single week. The reason none of this is publicized is obvious. No cruise line wants vacationing families thinking about mortality while they sip cocktails by the pool. Here is what you do. Nothing changes for your own trip. But understand that if the captain announces a schedule change or a missed port, a medical emergency handled with total privacy is often the real reason behind it. Secret number 7. Connecting cabins are cheap for a reason. The connecting door between 2 cabins is far thinner than the surrounding walls, which means conversations, televisions, and even snoring pass through with almost no resistance at all. A family of 4 booked connecting rooms to save money, only to realize neither side got a full night of sleep because every sound carried straight through. The reason the connecting door exists at that thinness is manufacturing cost. A heavier soundproof door would be more expensive to install across thousands of cabins fleet-wide. Here is what you do. If privacy matters more than saving money, request cabins near each other but not directly connecting, and always ask the exact distance between the 2 doors before booking. Secret number 6. How crew quietly upgrade their favorite passengers. Friendly guests who greet crew by name and treat them with basic respect are far more likely to receive small unadvertised perks, from an extra dessert to a surprise cabin upgrade during a slow sailing. A widow traveling alone struck up daily conversations with her cabin steward, and by day 3 found herself moved into a balcony cabin at no extra charge simply because a spare one was available and she had been kind all week. The reason this favoritism exists is entirely human. Crew work brutal hours far from home, and a guest who treats them like people rather than servants earns genuine goodwill in return. Here is what you do. Learn your steward and server's names on day one. A little warmth costs nothing and quietly opens doors that money alone cannot. We are almost through the full list, and if you want the complete printable version of all 21 secrets to keep in your phone for your next cruise, just comment the word secrets below and we will send it your way. Secret number 5. The cabin door trick that gets better service. Simply introducing yourself to your steward within the first 30 minutes and mentioning something specific, like a birthday or an anniversary during the cruise, tends to trigger noticeably better service for the entire week. A man celebrating 40 years of marriage mentioned it casually to his steward on embarkation day and returned to his cabin that night to find a small handwritten congratulations note and fresh towel animals every evening after. The reason this works is that stewards manage over a dozen cabins with almost no personal information about any of them, so a small detail shared up front gives them a reason to remember you specifically. Here is what you do. Share one small personal detail with your steward on day one. It costs you nothing and it is remembered far more than most guests realize. Secret number 4. The real reason pool chairs disappear every morning. Crew remove towels and belongings left unattended on pool chairs before sunrise specifically to prevent the chair-hogging conflicts that erupt daily on nearly every cruise ship afloat. A man who left his towel on a chair at 6 in the morning to save a spot found it gone entirely by 7:15, replaced by another family who had simply asked a crew member for help. The reason for the strict removal policy is guest satisfaction data. Cruise lines have learned that chair disputes generate more formal complaints than almost any other issue on board. Here is what you do. If you want a good pool chair, show up and sit in it, reserving one with a towel, and walking away is the fastest way to lose it entirely. Secret number 3. Lost and found items do not always go back to guests. Unclaimed valuables left in a cabin are held for a limited window under company policy, after which ownership can legally transfer, meaning that phone charger or bracelet you left behind might never make it back even if you call immediately. A woman left an expensive watch in a cabin drawer and was told during her follow-up call that the item had already been processed as unclaimed property after the standard holding period passed. The reason the window is so short is practical. Thousands of items get left behind every single week fleet-wide, and long-term storage across an entire fleet simply is not realistic. Here is what you do. Do a full drawer and safe check before you leave your cabin on the final morning, and if you do leave something, call guest services within hours rather than days. Secret number 2. The secret crew cafeteria food is better than you think. Employees often eat freshly prepared regional dishes in the crew mess that never appear anywhere in the passenger dining rooms, since the meals are designed for staff working 16-hour days rather than for vacationing guests. A former dining room manager admitted the crew mess curry night was better than anything served in the main dining room that same week. The reason passengers never see this menu is simple. Guest dining is designed around broad appeal for thousands of different palates, while crew meals are built around comfort and speed for a much smaller, more specific group. Here is what you do. You will not get access to the crew mess, but asking your server what the crew ate that day sometimes leads to a friendly off-menu recommendation. Secret number 1. Why crew can spot first-time cruisers within minutes of boarding. Veteran employees instantly recognize a first-time passenger by a handful of small habits: wandering the wrong direction at the buffet, tipping unnecessarily for included drinks, or asking where the elevator goes when the deck map is printed right beside it. A crew member laughed, describing how first-timers always look up at the ceiling in the atrium the moment they board, while repeat cruisers walk straight to their cabin without a glance. The reason this matters to you is that once staff peg you as a first-timer, they often over-explain basic things while under-mentioning the small perks a seasoned cruiser would simply ask for directly. Here is what you do. Walk aboard with quiet confidence, ask specific questions instead of general ones, and staff will treat you less like a tourist and more like someone who already belongs. 21 secrets down. And if this changed the way you will board your next cruise, the best thing you can do right now is subscribe to Senior Cruise Secrets and turn on notifications, because next week we're exposing the 12 embarkation mistakes that get experienced travelers denied boarding before they ever see their cabin, And trust me, you do not want to learn secret number 4 the hard way at the terminal. See you in the next one.